Welcome to Property Showcase, the podcast that brings you closer to the service providers that can inform your decisions about how you buy, manage and research top investment opportunities. Be informed and become a better investor with Property Showcase.
Our first guest today is Ben Handler. Now, Ben is the CEO of Buyers Agent Institute. Hello, Ben, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you talk about the many secrets that you've learned after building the Cohen Handler property buyers business. And essentially, from what I can tell, there's 4 headline ones that you talk about. So let's unpack those a little bit. The first one, I guess, is where to get the information. And it's not just about getting it from the main property portals, is it?
Exactly right. One of the biggest mistakes in the industry within property is that people rely on realestate.com.au and domain.com.au to source property. There's a whole nother world of property that exists that's off-market, that's not on those portals.
That's off-market. For those people that don't know what off-market is, if there are any, can you just expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, so a property is deemed off-market when it's not officially listed online, for example, on realestate.com or domain.com. And there's a very large pool of transactions that occur that are off-market. And for example, if a seller doesn't want to maybe go through with a campaign and doesn't want people to go through their property, or they don't want to disrupt one of their tenants, they may just ask for a real estate agent to bring some buyers through, and that's deemed off-market. And there's a lot of transactions that happen that way.
So for sale, but not yet fully publicised.
Correct.
Now, Ben, the second one, and I thought this was quite interesting, you said learn how to play the good cop, bad cop game. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I've obviously been involved in buying thousands of properties over the years, and one of the most profound lessons that I've learned is you never ever show a real estate agent your true face. You play the poker face. And what that means is, even if you like the property, you pretend you don't like the property. You don't show any of your cards. You always make out that it's not right for you. And so what you then do is you can then leverage off your partner, let's say your wife. You can say, oh, my wife does like it, I don't like it. So, and then you can go in for your negotiation. And good cop, bad cop is about leveraging off someone else to pretend that they like it, and when you tell the agent that you don't like it.
It's also interesting you were talking about understanding what's driving the vendor, what the vendor's motivation is for selling, I guess.
Correct. So one of the best ways that we used to wrap up deals is really trying to understand what motivates the vendor. A lot of the time when we're buying property, we don't really ask questions about the vendor, but what we may find out is that the vendor may want an extended settlement. So not the standard 6 weeks, they may want a 5-month settlement. So if we can find that out quickly and cater to their needs and put forward an offer that works towards their terms, it's going to enhance our chance of buying a property. It's
about gaining some kind of leverage, I would imagine.
Correct, absolutely.
Now, also you talked a little bit earlier, Ben, about not being too quick to show your cards. The fourth sort of secret that you were talking about is showing interest in another property?
Yes, correct.
And why would you do that?
Real estate agents have very big egos typically, and they're very, very competitive, as we all know. So what I used to enjoy doing was, if there was a property that I was interested in, I would tell the real estate agent that I was interested in another property with one of his competitors or her competitors. And that would create a bit of rivalry, and then that would sometimes, I guess, help with purchasing the property because the agent would try and sell it to me as opposed to me buying it through one of his competitors. And
again, that's looking to leverage your advantage, look for the advantages and then leverage them?
Exactly right. It's just about creating some suspense, always making sure that they don't feel like you're only interested in this property. And also you can, tell that agent that you're interested in an off-market property through one of their competitors, which creates even more suspense.
I like the way that you put that. That's a great term, creating suspense. And I guess all of those secrets, when you put them together, it leads to creating suspense. First of all, gathering the information, and then working out what the motivation of the seller is, and then understanding how the real estate agent works, and then using all of those moving parts to get you the best deal that you can for yourself.
Correct. It's like a musical performance. You just got to work through it and make sure everything flows the right way, and that you're always staying in control at a high level.
And that the different instruments come in at the right times.
Exactly right.
Hey Ben, it's been really good to chat to you about this. Now, if anybody wants to learn more about Buyers Agent Institute and anything else that we've talked about today, how can they get hold of you?
They can visit the buyersagentinstitute.com, or they can call me personally on 0405 633 910.
And Ben, I understand that you've got something interesting coming up in the near future?
Yes, we've got a very new, exciting project coming up with the Buyers Agent Institute and SPI, so everyone please stay tuned.
Hey Ben, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Take care.
So our second guest today is Todd Hunter. Todd is the founder of Ware Group. Hello Todd, and welcome to the show.
Hey mate, thanks for having me on board.
You're very welcome. Can you, before we start, just give us a quick intro of what the Ware Group does, please?
Mate, we're a buyer's agency, so we, I guess probably the slight point of difference with us, which is a big one, is that I only buy for clients wherever I'm purchasing properties for myself. So it allows investors to jump on the back of my own research and follow me as investor and pick up a bargain.
And on that point, we've just noticed just recently that you've been focusing your attention a lot in the market in the United States. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have. I've been buying in the US now for 6 years, but I was also buying in Australia as well. But over the last 12 months, I've been researching, and I just haven't been able to find anything in Australia that's actually worth investing. I put it down to the low interest rates that we've had, and I think we've had low interest rates for way too long. I mean, it's great for those mortgage holders and homeowners. That's a beautiful thing, but it's I guess it's artificially inflated lots of markets that are out there that probably really shouldn't have seen the rise that they're seeing, and as a result, I can't find anything worth buying. And so I started focusing more towards the US, and they're in a massive growth stage at the moment with their economy, and I've basically, with the research that I've done, I've actually identified 2 new cities that we're investing in, and it's looking awesome over there.
So you make a good point about sort of property prices and returns here in Australia, and I guess on the other side of the coin, just completely different over in the US. Tell us a little bit more about what's happening there in terms of prices and rental returns.
It's completely different, and it's very attractive. To give you an idea, in one of the cities that we're buying houses, neat, tidy, ready to rent properties up to US $80,000. So not $800,000, $80,000, and we're getting yields on those properties of between 17% and 19%. And in the second city, we're buying again neat and tidy houses, and we're buying those houses for between US $60,000 and $80,000. And a little bit more attractive is that we're actually getting yields on those of over 20%, and we've even had a few properties hit the 25% mark on yields. So it's huge.
Those are some unbelievable numbers, Todd. Let's just be clear. Let's just clarify a little bit. You're talking about $80,000. That's the whole house. That's everything in. That's not just a portion of it.
No, that's the whole house. That's the whole kit and caboodle. It's for what basically what would be a deposit in Australia. Yeah, you're getting the whole house. And to give you an idea, the neat, tidy 3 and 4 bedroom homes with 1 or 2 bathrooms. A lot of them have basements as well, and a fair few of them actually have garages as well. So, and they're probably running on what we would call over here probably about a sort of 400 or 450 square metre block, and you get the whole lot for $80,000.
I can understand now why your interest has been piqued over there in the US. Now you're also talking about, did I hear you correctly a little earlier, saying you're getting sort of rental returns or yields of up to 25%?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and very commonly over 20. That sort of 20 to 22% is very common for us. So we can pick those bargains up. Well, they're common for now until the prices obviously start increasing, and then the yields will decrease. That's what we're getting. It makes them sort of positively geared. Even if you've got a mortgage on the property, you're still looking at positively geared by between $120 and $140 per week. And for those who purchase within their self-managed super funds, or those who purchase with cash, it's more like sort of $240 plus a week.
Now, if you have, at those kind of prices, and certainly, as you said, they're positively geared, so you can be quite, I suppose, proactive about it. If you have sort of five or six of those in your portfolio, it can make a big difference to your lifestyle.
It can do. It certainly does. As an idea, I've actually got 6 in my self-managed super fund at the moment, and I really don't need to do too much else in that super fund. It's pretty much set, and although I will, but it's very well placed now, looking great for the future. We've obviously had a lot of people who've been through that Sydney and Melbourne property boom. They've got huge amounts of equity in their houses, and this is also another really good way they can tap into small amounts of their equity to get involved in this and actually start making a real positive income. So, and one that's I guess one thing that can be life changing.
Now, given that houses are so cheap over there, can investors expect to get sort of capital growth out of these, or is it just a sort of a cash flow kind of exercise?
When I first started investing over there, I was investing in Detroit, a particular little a county within Detroit, and I really was actually going over there pretty much just due to the cash flow. And at the time, we were getting 21 to 22% yields on the houses that we're buying. But as a result of people seeing these yields and the quality of product that you're getting for those prices, Detroit's jumped up dramatically in price. It's been one of the best performing cities in the US, and we've seen over 10% growth for the past 3 years straight. And I don't think it's going to look that way again now. I don't think it's got any slowing anytime soon. And out of that, in the last 6 years I've owned properties there, I've actually had 2 of my own houses double in value. So there's certainly capital growth to be had.
Todd, I mean, there's certainly compelling evidence that this is worth looking into and looking closer at. For people that are interested, how can they get involved?
Well, what we've done is we've had mass amounts of interest into this program, so it's been huge. So what I've put together is, and we've only just released this, it's an 18-part video series where I talk through basically everything that the clients have actually asked me over the last several years. And I've put videos and put it all together and answered all the questions for them. So we've got that's out there. I've also just written 3 ebooks. One on initially why I chose the US and I've actually stopped investing in Australia. My second book is why I actually chose Detroit. Out of all the cities and counties all through the US, I actually chose Detroit as the place to invest. And the third one is, I call it the nuts and bolts, which is pretty much everything you need to know about investing in the US, how your structures, getting set up, making sure you do everything right, and not make a few of the mistakes that I made at the start. And so they're all available. But yeah, certainly the video series is going to be it's going to be a winner. It's the people who have actually looked at it so far said it's fantastic and very helpful in answering all their questions. And people can basically just jump onto our website, which is waregroup.com.au, and register their interest, and they can get involved on that video series straight away.
That's great, Todd. Thanks very much. Now, if anybody wants to learn more about the Ware Group and anything else that we've chatted outside of what you just mentioned now, how else can they find you? Is there a number they can use or an email address?
Yeah, look, our office is 9544 554 with a 02. We can certainly do that. That's probably the best way from there. But a lot of the information will be certainly on the website and in that video series.
Mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, and thanks again for your time.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for having me.
Nice one, Todd. Cheers.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property, or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.